Welcome back to the shop. Today I have a scrap find, I guess you'd call it. This is a 24-inch Bessey Clamp. These are extremely expensive. I think they're on the order of, the high $100 to mid $200 price range for one of these clamps. And a buddy of mine sent me a picture of a sort of distant family member has passed away, and he had a truck full of scrap metal. At some point, you just have to get rid of things. You can't store everything. And in the picture I looked, I said, those are Bessey clamps. Don't scrap those. He said, they're just clamps. What am I going to do with them? Said, don't scrap them. So he says, oh, maybe you can use some content for the channel. Just once he saw how much they were worth, he wants them. But anyway, they are not without problem, though. The big clamp, the most expensive clamp of them all, is the one that I'm going to feature in this video. It has a piece of all thread that's been Fabricobbled into a handle, which is more than adequate most of the time. But for this channel, we'll try to improve on that. But the biggest thing is that it's missing the foot here. And without having the foot, it's going to gall and it's going to walk. As you clamp down on things, you don't want this to move around. This acknowledgement that you don't want the clamp to move around is, I can illustrate that by this grand clamp. So this clamp, when you pinch it down, instead of it having to walk, alright, so I have that clamped in there, and if I tighten it, you see the board wants to, I sort of have to doctor it a little bit, but you see that every time I move the clamp, it imparts some sort of force in it. However, with this grand clamp, I can get it sort of tight, and let's say it's right there is where I want it perfectly. Now when I tighten this, it pushes down on the fulcrum and begins to crush that board. So that keeps it perfectly locked. This clamp and then the can't twist clamps are excellent, excellent clamps. For work holding when it has to be very still, but for speed and sheer ease of use, these F clamps are my favorite. I think Scoutcrafter doesn't like them. I don't know why. Everybody's got their own favorites. These just happen to be mine. So what we're going to do today is we're going to make a foot for this. And I went ahead and bought, I think, a 5-pack of these or 6-pack of these for $10 on Amazon. And they came in a pack with the little rubber feet on them. And they are pre-cupped on the inside, and there's a little snap ring in there that will fit over a ball and simulate this style foot that's on here. I was able to find the foot for sale online, and it was $28. That's a lot of money to spend on a clamp that's not mine. But I figured it's a nice day. Let me go ahead and tinker around in the shop. What I'm going to do is I took this T-nut and this long bolt, and I'm going to attempt to emulate the $30 nut that's online. I'm going to clean this up on the wire wheel, then we're going to chuck it in the lathe, drill a hole to match this, drill another hole, the bore where we'll match this bore with that bore, then we'll drill a hole in the side, put a roll pin in the side, and then put a ball on the end of this and press this foot onto there. That's my plan. That's my goal. We'll see how many bolts I go through trying to accomplish that. But hopefully it should serve as a proxy, a very durable proxy, to put this clamp back into service. So let's go ahead and get started on that. So I use the calipers to go ahead and identify the closest approximate size. That's 13/64. So I'm going to drill out half of this, and half of it is going to fit over this nut. Probably maybe 3/4 of it. And then this will screw down. I will leave a couple threads here for it to push against, as many as I can. And then we will work on rounding this section off of here. Alright. Now there's a little shoulder that this is going to set on, and I'm going to put the lathe in reverse and cut on the other side. It saves me a little time instead of changing this whole cutter to come in and Anyway, I need more tooling. I should buy more tooling, but so I got a little overzealous with the cutting, and I ended up having to back the nut down because I came in at an angle. Regardless, I still have the objective of putting the ball on the end of this so that I can fit this foot on it. So what I've done is just using the backside of a drill. Here's a 13/32 drill bit. That fits in there nicely, and it does not capture the C-clip that's in there. That's what the ball section will do. So we'll end up using the dividing or the calipers here to mic out 13/32. We'll shoot for a major diameter of 13/32, and then we'll just do a little bit of sculpting to make this ball shaped, and then this should press in to the end of there and have a relatively firm snap action once it goes around that locking ring in there. So bring that over to the lathe and start contouring this. I imagine you could probably do this with a belt sander on the outside pretty easily, but on the inside that probably would be some hand file work if you didn't have a lathe. So we've made that end up. I've made that end up. And we're going to go ahead and... I just guesstimated that there's a concave area in there, so I try to make this as much of a ball end as possible. I could probably do this on the clamp itself, but for you guys, we'll do it here at device so you can see what's happening. Hopefully this snaps in there. Ha! Look at that. It's a pretty positive snap in there. Now I need to drill a hole and put a cotter pin in there, or a roll pin. Let's do that. We've been using those calipers all day, but there's another shortcut. If you need to find the right size, you can just use the drill case. And I've got the roll pin that I like to use. And it does not slide through that one. So it's a 3/16. It seems like it'll be a very tight fit here, which I think we can press through. So let's go ahead and drill the nut out. That's the nut. It's got to go through there. Put a punch mark in the nut where I want to drill it. And then I have this vise, this machinist vise, and it's got the notch built in there, so that'll hold the nut nice because of the, the nature of this nut. It's not going to sit in a normal vise without wanting to cock on me. So I shortened the nut up a little bit. You can see there's not a lot of play in there, but there's at least some. I need to cut this roll pin off of here, and I think we can do a better job on this handle. So while we're cutting the roll pin off, we'll go ahead and zip this off. I almost hate to do this, but I've got some China breaker bar, and it happens to fit pretty close to what I think it'll go in this handle. It's way more heavy duty than anything else I have, so I think it's on the chopping block. I can't help myself. I don't like it. I found a little piece of brass. Let's drill it out and press it on there. I'm going to drill this out and we'll put a roll pin in it. Now we'll cut that off and clean up this end. Well, here's my final product. I decided to put that piece of brass on the end of here and then put a roll pin. That should keep that in place, and it's also an interference fit, like a 1/1000th press. With the sacrificed breaker bar, I think it's a really nice firm feel on here. I think it's a vast improvement on what was here before. And just the same with this end, that's quite a bit nicer than it was before. So I have no doubt that this is going to be very strong, because with the threads here, and it actually is able to press down on the end of the shaft, and this collar is sitting on the joint and the roll pin. Everything is held in place, and the roll pin isn't absorbing any weight, it is just keeping it from backing off. I'm pretty confident that that's going to last for a long time. So Dave, I hope you appreciate it, and I'm glad we caught these before they made it to the dump. So everybody, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I hope you're having a good weekend.